Welcome back to Football Daily, where today we bring you our top 10 families who bossed the football world. 10. The Marcos Alonsos. We begin with a dynasty which has quietly run through much of Spain's football history. Marcos Alonso Imaz, known commonly as Marquitos, only made 2 appearances for the Spanish national team. But after moving from Racing Santander to Real Madrid back in 1954, became part of one of the all-time great club teams. In just 8 years at the Bernabeu, the defender won 5 La Liga titles and 5 European Cups, even scoring in the 1956 final. During that time, Marquitos had a son, also called Marcos, who would go on to play for Real's rivals Atletico Madrid and Barcelona in the 1980s. As a winger, Marcos got 46 goals in 302 La Liga games, and won La Liga and the Copa del Rey with Barca, although he narrowly lost out on the European Cup in 1986. And finally, Marcos Alonso number 3 was born in 1990, and like his father, came through the ranks at Real Madrid. But Alonso the wingback is the first in this dynasty to have played across Europe, having spent time at Bolton Wanderers, Fiorentina and Sunderland before being snapped up by Chelsea in 2016. 9. Patrick's prodigy. A Champions League winner at the age of just 18, Patrick Kluivert's entry into the football world is among one of the most explosive of recent times. Snatching the winner for Ajax in the 1995 final against Milan, the teenage Dutch striker became the youngest player to score in a Champions League final, a record he holds to this day. Kluivert's son Justin may not be able to match that particular feat, but he has already beaten his dad in one respect, by getting his first senior goal for Ajax at the age of just 17. The winger is one of Dutch football's brightest prospects, and like his father before him, is emerging in a talented young squad in Amsterdam. As we know, Patrick eventually moved to Barcelona, where he picked up a La Liga title and scored 120 goals. And on the evidence of his son's performances, it won't be long until the Titans of Europe come sniffing. 8. The Lampards. Believe it or not, Frank Lampard was already a household name among English football fans in the 1970s. That's right, the original Frank is a West Ham legend, having won 2 FA Cups and played 670 times for the East Londoners between 1967 and 1985. That makes him the second highest appearance maker in Hammers history, above Bobby Moore. And his iconic status made it all the more difficult for Frank Jr. when he came through the club's ranks in the 1990s, as fans thought the young midfielder had been given a leg up by his dad, who was assistant manager at the time. His superior, Harry Redknapp, also happened to be Frank's uncle. When one fan questioned 18-year-old Lampard's ability, Redknapp stood up for him, telling the fan that the midfielder would go right to the very top. He wasn't wrong, as Lampard won everything there is to win, became Chelsea's all-time top scorer and achieved 106 England caps in a monumental career which dwarfed his father's. 7. The Schmeichels. Now for another father-son duo who have their own unique place in English football history. Peter Schmeichel was an instant hit when he signed for Alex Ferguson's Man United for less than £1 million back in 1991 and spent 8 happy years at Old Trafford, winning 5 Premier Leagues, 3 FA Cups and a Champions League, while forging his reputation as a fierce and vocal figure between the sticks. But the Danish goalkeeper actually ended his club career at rivals Man City, and it was during this time that his son Kasper joined the youth setup at the Eastlands club. Also a keeper, Kasper Schmeichel only managed 10 appearances for City, and after countless loan spells and a stint at Notts County, he eventually established himself at Leeds before moving to Leicester in 2011. 5 years later, Schmeichel was able to emulate some of his father's success by lifting the Premier League trophy at the end of the Foxes' fairy tale season, and they remain 2 of just 3 Danish players to achieve the feat. 6. Mazinho's sons. During the 1980s and 90s, Brazilian footballer Mazinho forged a journeyman's career, playing for various clubs in his homeland, Italy and Spain, from Vasco da Gama to Valencia. Meanwhile, his international career was more distinguished, as he played just 35 times for Brazil, but won a Copa America and a World Cup with the Canarinho. During his playing days, Mazinho had 2 sons, Thiago and Rafinha. They would both go through the prestigious Barcelona youth system to reach the heights of the European game. and have already arguably trumped their father's achievements. Thiago has become one of the best midfielders in the world at Bayern Munich, while Rafinha has fully established himself at the Nou Camp. Both have won multiple league titles and are Champions League victors, and both still have a long way to go in their careers. Daddy must be proud. 5. The Pogbas. Paul Pogba has been one of the most talked about players in world football for some years now, and his towering presence on the field is matched by a huge media image. His return to Manchester United from Juventus in 2016 was coupled with an Adidas advertising campaign, while every appearance at Old Trafford is seemingly marked with a new haircut. But while the world went crazy over the Frenchman's world record transfer, little did they know that Pogba's older brother, Matthias, was just weeks away from completing his own big move, from Partick Thistle to Sparta Rotterdam. Matthias couldn't be further from the glitz and glamour of Paul's media merry-go-round, and while his younger brother was coming through the United ranks, was playing in the English Conference with Wrexham. Meanwhile, Matthias' twin brother Florentin has had a somewhat more distinguished career, establishing himself as a regular starter in defence for Saint Etienne, and even coming up against Paul when the club were drawn against Man United in the Europa League in 2017. 4. The Alucos. Up next we have another sibling duo, this time a brother and sister. Fans of English football will probably be familiar with Sonny Aluko, who has appeared for Hull City and Fulham. But his sister Eniola has had a far more impressive career, becoming a legend of English women's football. The pacey forward scored her first goal for England aged just 18 and kicked on from there, winning FA Cups with 3 different clubs and the Women's Super League with Chelsea in 2015. Aluko was also part of the team that came third at the 2015 World Cup, and as of April 2017 had made 95 appearances for the national side and scored 32 goals, making her the country's 5th highest ever scorer. 3. The father of Pelé. Now, we all know Pelé. Arguably the first footballer to become a global superstar, the Brazilian burst onto television screens during the 1958 World Cup at the age of just 17 and wrote himself into the history books. But he did not make the journey on his own. Pelé's father, João Ramos do Nascimento, simply known as Dondinho, had a big influence on the young player's life, having been a footballer himself. Like his son, Dondinho was a prolific scorer, reportedly netting 893 goals in just 775 games, although this was mainly at amateur level, and in one game it was said he scored 5 just with his head. The stuff of Andy Carroll's dreams. Most importantly though, Dondinho was longtime mentor to Pelé, helping his son on the way to superstardom. 2. The Cruyffs. Another all-time legend of the game, Johan Cruyff's influence can be traced to countless aspects of modern football. The poster boy of total football and the father of Barcelona's prestigious La Masia Academy, Cruyff won 3 consecutive European Cups as a player with Ajax, then led FCB to their first ever victory in the tournament in 1992 as manager. While playing for the Blaugrana in 1974, he had a son and decided to name him Jordi, after the patron saint of Catalonia, in what could have been the first step in the making of a future Barca legend. But it wasn't to be. Although Jordi played for the Catalans under his father's stewardship, his career never fully took off, and after a move to Manchester United, injuries and the emergence of the class of '92 meant he hardly ever got in the team. Following a return to La Liga, Cruyff ended his playing days in Malta. 1. The Barresi Brothers. Topping our list are 2 players who are very much the definition of sibling rivalry. As teenagers, Giuseppe Barresi and his brother Franco both attended trials at Inter Milan. But while Giuseppe made the cut, Franco was not considered good enough and was instead snapped up by fierce local rivals AC. As the younger sibling, Franco quickly became known as Barresi too, but the tables would turn during the coming years. The brothers became legends at their respective clubs, and while Giuseppe won 2 Serie A titles with Inter and 1 as club captain, his younger brother eclipsed his achievements, captaining the Rossoneri for 15 seasons, winning 6 Serie A's and 3 European Cups. Not only that, but Franco's majestic performances at the back for the Italian giants during their most glorious era cemented his place as one of football's greatest ever defenders, and Giuseppe came to be known as the other Barresi.
So we hope you enjoyed that, and if you want to check out more of our videos, then click here on screen. Don't forget to like and subscribe and get on our Snapchat and our Twitter. I don't know what I'm saying.